Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we ask that you please rise and remove your hats as the Carl Hayden High School Junior ROTC presents our nation's colors. Please remain standing as ISM Raceway Chaplain Ken Bowers offers our invocation.
Father, we thank you that we can gather here once again at our beloved ISM Raceway. We thank you that you are our enabler, our keeper, our provider. Our prayer today is that we will have a safe race, an enjoyable race. We will meet new friends. We will leave here thankful and appreciative of your blessings in our lives. These things we pray in your name. And everybody said, amen.
Here to perform our national anthem, please welcome recording artist and songwriter, Arizona-based Michelle Moyer.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Let's hear it one more time.
Christopher Bell and Tyler Redick made quite a show last week, really putting the pressure on Kyle Busch, who has 10 wins at Phoenix. Can they do it again today? We'll find out when we get back to Phoenix. So it is time to go racing, Xfinity Series racing from the Grand Canyon State in Phoenix, Arizona, ISM Raceway. Christopher Bell is on the pole. Tyler Redick is alongside. So let's go upstairs and join the men who will call all the action. Adam Alexander, Kevin Harvick, and Eric Jones, who's making his second appearance as our guest driver analyst. You guys have fun up there today.
We will indeed. Eric was with us last spring at Charlotte Motor Speedway, so we look forward to having Driver 20 back in the booth here today. And Shannon talked about Tyler Redick and Christopher Bell. I want to mention them in a moment, but first, short race, short stages. The level of aggression is what today, Kevin?
It's high, and especially in these first two stages because the laps are so short. So you have to balance between having your car take off and knowing that you're going to have a long run at the end of the race.
How aggressive do you get out there, Eric?
You're going for it. I mean, you look at this race, 200 laps. It's a mile track. It's going to fly by, so I'm going for it if I'm running.
Bell and Redick, as we've talked about, put on an unbelievable show last week, starting on the front row today. What have you seen in this duo, Kevin?
Well, they had Kyle Busch beat last week, in my opinion, and both kind of made a mistake. Christopher Bell made a mistake and wound up giving the lead back to Kyle, and then he had to deal with Tyler Redick. And what we've seen out of Tyler Redick is he's going to race hard all the time, and so is Christopher Bell, no matter what spot it's for. So, in my opinion, I think today is the day that you race each other and don't worry about Kyle Busch.
Eric, you've been in their shoes. It's always nice to beat the series wins leader, right?
Well, we were talking earlier, and it's really easy to beat yourself trying to do it. So as much as you want to go up and beat the Cup guys, sometimes you got to focus on your season.
And if you knock off Kyle Busch here, you will have earned it. Because, oh, by the way, he's won at Phoenix on 10 different occasions in the Xfinity car. Green flag on the way. Now we're going trackside
and
for the
now,
command.
for the most famous words in motorsports, please welcome your Grand Marshal, Vice President of Marketing and Sponsorship for Extreme Concepts, Nadiv Raviv.
Drivers, start your engines!
The engines have fired. We are ready to go racing in the desert. Here are drivers pre-race.
Just got done with my Ream Suite appearance today. Just got done winning the pole too. So hopefully we can keep that 18 car behind us. That Ream Supra seems really, really fast. Hopefully it's good in the long run too.
Felt like we had a pretty good car in practice yesterday. We'll see what happens. Just got to make it a little bit better. I think we'll have a shot at a win today, but it's going to be tough like always. A tough track to get a hold of.
Giddy up, cowboy, because we're about to have ourselves a good old-fashioned Southwest showdown.
It's hot, slick. We are in for a real treat today.
The sense of urgency is up.
Let's get focused and get ready to rock and roll here.
200 laps in the desert.
Green flag.
Underway at Phoenix. It is a gorgeous day in the desert. Xfinity cars rolling off here at ISM Raceway for the 35th time. It's race 4 in 2019. Should be an outstanding afternoon of racing. We're glad you're with us live on FS1. From the driver's seat today is going to be our defending champion, Tyler Redick. And yesterday during practice, he had some challenges, and not just handling the race car, Kevin.
Yeah, he definitely had some challenges there. I think it was short legs and a tight suit. We needed a stepladder, so it was definitely something that I don't think he was expecting. I think he was expecting to whip that leg in there. So let's talk to him. Hey, Tyler, this is Kevin Harvick and Eric Jones, Adam Alexander up in the Fox booth. We were just watching you try to get in your car yesterday, so I guess my first question is, did you need any help getting in the car today? And my second question is, short stages and it looked like your car, you guys progressed through practice. Were you happy with your car at the end of the practice, and did you make any changes for today's race?
Yeah, unfortunately in practice yesterday, I just not very good at the racetrack, and we kind of took ourselves out of it. But fortunately, we got a great notebook. Daniel Hemrick's really good here. He's just a great driver, and we're able to go back to what he did here last year, and it seems to be working pretty good in qualifying. So we'll see what we got. Yeah, obviously, we're trying to get one last run in there in practice, and we didn't have a stool. So you got to do what you got to do, even if you make a clown of yourself in the process.
Tyler, this is Eric Jones. You know, I've watched the last few years, and you're so good on the long runs. I'm wondering today, 200-lap race, short stages, what are you going to do to make yourself be quick here at the start of these runs and in the sprint to the finish?
Well, hopefully just be aggressive enough. Obviously, cars like to build tight here, it feels like. So just try and manage the right side tires, try and keep the right front on it, and see if we need to make some adjustments on this car. But the guys have been bringing some really great cars, and this Hurdle Chevrolet's been pretty good for qualifying start today. So we'll see what we got here for these Toyotas.
All right, thanks, Tyler. Good luck today.
We talk so much when it comes to this place about track position, and certainly Tyler Redick, Christopher Bell have got it starting out on the front row. Before we go green, we hear from our pit reporters. Leading us off is Regan Smith. Good afternoon, Regan.
Well, good afternoon, Adam. You did talk about that track position. Christopher Bell has it. This week he gets to keep it. A week ago at Las Vegas, he had to fall to the rear of the field for an unapproved adjustment. The biggest concern now is getting through turn 1 on the initial start of the race. Because of the dogleg at Phoenix, the pole sitter's at a disadvantage to the third place car in the way they can dive to the bottom. That's the bad news. The good news, the third place car is his teammate Kyle Busch. Matt?
Regan Junior Motorsports makes up row 3. You already heard Noah Gregson's strategy for today. I talked to Michael Annette, and he's looking at a whole different strategy. His car, stellar on the long runs, not so great on the short runs. He's hoping to survive those wild restarts and get some long green flag runs. And also, Travis Mack said, throw in fuel mileage. Junior Motorsports has won that way here in the past. It simply should be exciting. Guys?
Interesting points by you, Matt, in regard to strategy, and not just fuel mileage. I'm interested to see if we see those two-tire stops sometime throughout the day, because ultimately the name of the game is to get up front, and certainly some opportunities to do it here. You see the stage lengths, 45 laps for stage 1 and stage 2. Final run to the checkers, 110 laps. The fuel window, 70 to 80 laps. And it's interesting when you watch the cars here, because a lot of times we do get a long green flag run in that final stage. Front row, as we've talked, Bell and Redick. Behind them, Kyle Busch, Cole Custer. All 4 Junior Motorsports cars in the top 10 were green here at Phoenix.
That first turn is always a tricky part of the race, because these guys are on used tires from qualifying. You drive down on the apron, you drive into turn 1, and that car just does not want to turn and washes up the racetrack. So you have to be really careful at the beginning of these races.
Yeah, I was interested to see how Christopher Bell was going to handle that. I know going down on that apron, that dog leg is really dirty, and trying to run into turn 1 after that is going to be always a big challenge.
Between turns 1 and 2, did you see how low Nemechek was?
Wow.
He had all 4 below the yellow line.
Did you see how loose Tyler Redick was right there? But I guess I saw the shots from practice with him steering the car sideways. I guess it doesn't even bother him because he's pretty much used to being sideways. That was pretty sideways right there through 1 and 2.
That happened to him again in qualifying today, talking about Tyler Redick. So he's been battling that race car a lot. And we got a report that Chase Briscoe in the 98 caught the wall, not what he wanted to do in the early portion of this race.
Well, you get so many cars down there on the apron, and you don't know what you need to do, but he was definitely out of the groove a little bit right there and probably just lost the front end. But these cars are pretty tough with these composite bodies on them, so I don't think that'll hurt him much unless it's got that right front fender caved in.
I'd say he's in good shape.
Yeah, I think he's fine. The one thing you have to be careful as we talk about all these guys going on the apron. When I went on the apron in qualifying, it ripped the jack post off of my car. And, you know, if you go on the apron right there and that jack post comes off of your car today, you're in big trouble for the rest of the day. It's violent.
It is. You know, it's a big advantage at times to go down there, and it's really enticing, but it's also a pretty big hindrance to your car, and it's really easy to tear something up.
Riding here with Austin Syndrich. This team, Team Penske, won this race a year ago with Brad Keselowski. Syndrich was top 5 here in the fall. They came in with great expectations. He's 7th right now. Had a long top 10 streak in last week when he was involved in an accident in the latter stages at Las Vegas 7 days ago. We go on board with Tyler Redick, and we got to say a special thanks to him for carrying this visor cam. An unbelievable perspective here.
It is, and I wish we could put a visor cam on Tyler Redick every week, because for me, he has become really fun to watch, and obviously he's our series defending series champion from last year, and he's a fun race car driver to watch, and every week I feel like he gets a little bit better. He does things that we haven't seen him do before, and he's a really aggressive driver, and I think that's what fans like to see.
The championship carryover has been interesting for him, because he changed teams. You both know what it's like to try and defend a championship. To do it with a new club has got to be an added challenge, and we talked about Syndrich earlier. He's on the move up to 6th around a net there.
You know, Austin Syndrich's guy has done a really good job, I think, over the last year. When he first came into the series, he had some struggles, but he's done a good job to develop himself with a great team, obviously, to become a guy who's consistently in the top 10, and I think that's really impressive, in my opinion, his improvement over the last year.
7 laps in, and we haven't mentioned Justin Allgaier, winner here in 2017. This is his kind of racetrack, Kevin.
It really is, and we talk so much about him shifting as we go through what is now turns 3 and 4. It'll be interesting to see if the cars slow down that much today to where he'll start shifting, because the transmission ratios really aren't designed to shift. So you have to have kind of this abnormal shift that you do right before you get onto the throttle, and it jerks the car sideways. And for me, I never liked doing that because it always threw off my rhythm. But see both of those guys right there on that yellow line, and in turns 3 and 4, that's where you want to be. It's like there's a little trough right there. You can put that left front tire, and if you can keep your left front tire right in that trough on that yellow line, it'll pull that car around the corner and give you a good run up off the corner.
Easier said than done, right?
It's hard to hit it. It's hard to hit it every lap.
Very narrow.
When we were here in November, Christopher Bell was in a must-win situation. Had problems in the inspection line. Didn't even make a qualifying run. He rolled off 38th, found his way to the front in the middle stages, went on to victory lane. Today he starts on the pole. The view much better. He's led our first 9 laps and currently has a 1-second advantage over his teammate. That would be Kyle Busch. And you saw the third driver from from Joe Gibbs Racing, Brandon Jones, who is 9th right now. And we go back to last November. Here it is right here. Put in perspective how hard it is to come from the back 200 laps at this place.
Well, it depends on how good your car's driving, but at this particular place, it becomes even harder because track position plays a big role in how your car handles. And so passing is a little bit of an art, and you have to have a good handling car, but usually it takes a really long time because the leaders get so far ahead.
That was his 7th win as a rookie, the most all-time for a first-year driver in the Xfinity Series. But because of the pressure he was dealing with, perhaps the most impressive from last season. Bell leading today. We're 11 laps in the desert. Let's have a little fun with our guest driver analyst, Erik Jones. That's Erik with a K. It all started quarter midgets when he was growing up racing in Michigan. First NASCAR win. Look at the emotion when he claimed the checkers here at Phoenix. Did it again in 2014. That was the night when the race was delayed because the lights went out. Picked up the championship a season later, driving for Kyle Busch, and of course, first checkered flag at NASCAR's top level coming last summer at Daytona. It's been a whirlwind. You've been climbing so fast in recent years, Erik.
It went fast. 6 years ago, I made my first truck start at Martinsville, and 6 years later, we're here in the Cup Series. So it's been a fun journey, though. I've had some good opportunities and been with some great people, and it's been a fun ride.
One thing I was curious about, and you've been through the ladder system with Toyota and Joe Gibbs and Kyle Busch, but when you started for Kyle, I know you guys raced against each other in late models. When you started, how helpful was he to you with the truck? Did he offer a lot of advice, or did he want to beat you all the time, or he knew he was going to beat you? And that's how I always feel. He feels like he can help you and beat you.
I think that's how Kyle feels. He can help you and beat you, especially early on. He left it kind of up to you to approach him, and I was nervous at first. I didn't want to really go talk to him, and finally some people around me said, just talk to him, and we built a great relationship from that, which started as him just helping me out, and even to this day, I still go to him all the time for advice. So he'll help you if you ask him most of the time.
See Brandon Jones working over Justin Allgaier here. If there's anyone who has followed a path like you, it's Christopher Bell, and apparently he's taken all that knowledge that Kyle's given and made it transfer because he's having a successful Saturday afternoon. And we just saw Brandon Jones trying to run down Justin Allgaier. What's the latest on driver 7, Matt?
When you look at that 7 car, the previous lap, you saw him go to the middle lane. He's just trying to hold on until they get a chance to fix the race car because Regan, he can't even turn the wheel. It is just so sideways loose.
Well, the 20 car of Christopher Bell, right now he is all quiet on the radio. The biggest thing that they were concerned about overnight, crew chief Jason Radcliffe was worried about the cup rubber that was going to go on the racetrack in this practice today. Obviously, they made the right adjustments. Driver is silent, just getting advice about lines. Kyle Busch is running behind him.
That's interesting because for Bell, he hasn't been on track today other than qualifying. He has to anticipate what the track is going to be like. Kyle has an advantage because he's been out there in Cup final practice, or could it be a disadvantage because he has a little bit of a misread and has to readjust? What's the balance there for two guys coming from a couple of different situations?
Well, I would say it's definitely not a disadvantage just because of the rhythm of going around the racetrack and the visual and just those reps just mean so much. I would say based upon what they did in practice, based upon their past knowledge, you're kind of taking a guess as to what you think the balance is going to be. Very rarely would you take an Xfinity car and leave the balance the same from practice to the race because you have these trends that you go off of. In my past, that's what I would say.
I would agree.
Let's hear from the 18 team halfway through this first stage.
The back's just starting to get a little bit better, but the front's tight. The time up till now, I can get the back, step out anytime I want to, unhook with the rear. Seat at 90, turn 1 and 2, 30 to 50, and 3 and 4, and the back, more secure everywhere. The fire off, back getting better right now.
It's Greek to me, but I'm sure you guys can translate.
I would say that's a very typical Phoenix condition. It's really tough to get the front end working here as good as you really want it to ever. And a lot of times you're getting yourself in a situation where the back start to get unhooked. And when you lose that, then you lose all your turn altogether. So it sounds like Kyle's just struggling with that a little bit.
Yeah, and you want the car to be as free as possible to try to make that front turn. And when you try to make it turn with the back and it doesn't help the front, then it just becomes two problems. So you heard Kyle talk about the tight and the loose. And that's really the worst condition that you can have here because you can't be aggressive anywhere. If it's just tight, you can adjust your braking, you can move up the racetrack, you can dime in the corner, you can use the apron, you have all kinds of things that you can do. But when you have two problems, it's hard to fix it.
00 driver Cole Custer. We said yesterday he better be getting some tips from you, Kevin. 9 Cup wins here. Did your teammate come over and get some advice?
I saw Chase Briscoe. I did not see him. I've only won one Xfinity race here, so the only direction I would send anybody is to Kyle Busch's trip.
Oh, come on.
He's won 10 of them.
1 Xfinity race, 4 truck races, and 9 Cup events.
Yeah.
I would say that it's okay to get your opinion on what's happening.
Sometimes.
Top 5, Bell, Kyle Busch, Redick, Custer, and Syndrich. We're back in a moment. 13 laps to go, stage one for NASCAR Xfinity Series teams here at ISM Raceway under caution for the first time. Bailey Curry got into the wall. Here's the situation coming off turn 4. See him top of your screen, right in the middle of the corner. That was always a popular place when it was turns 1 and 2, right?
Oh, I've been so screwed up trying to tell everybody what corner I'm in for the last couple races. That had all the signs of a flat right front tire, but when they showed the right side, it looked like it was up.
Yeah, I'm not sure what.
Yeah, it's definitely up.
Yeah.
Stephen Light running 21st is the first car 1 lap down, so he will get the free pass. And this brings me to the potential for strategy. 12 laps to go in our first stage. No doubt if you pit here, you can go all the way to the end of stage 2. But something's going to happen, right? We're going to get some guys out of balance one way or the other.
Well, this is when the stage points, really start to come into your mind, and you have to decide: do I want points or do I not want points? But the guys that are, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, they're probably thinking, okay, I can pit and probably come back out in the same spot because most everybody behind me is probably going to pit as well, and then the guys in front of me are going to have to pit. So there's definitely going to be two sides to this strategy, I'd say.
I think if you're Kyle Busch, though, you pit now.
He's got nothing to lose.
He doesn't need the stage points. If you're Christopher Bell, you're kind of boxed in. You want that stage win. You want those playoff points, but Kyle's just trying to win the race.
And 11 to go, you pit. I mean, the most laps you're going to have left on the restart is going to be 9. And there's a look at Jason Ratcliffe.
Remember your 3 boxes coming in.
Yeah, and the other thing is, the guys up front are saying, everybody's going to pit. We might just pit here and see what happens, because it's probably a situation where you're so close to the end that you just don't want to lose the track position, and there's so many cars on the lead lap still.
And if you're, let's say, Ryan Sieg running 14th, maybe, I guess if you stay out and everybody else pits, you won't be able to hang on and get those stage points. So that doesn't make any sense either.
All yellows.
Looks like everybody's thinking the same way. Christopher Bell leading them down pit road, Matt.
And the 22, Austin Syndrich, they were talking back and forth about the advantages of staying out, picking up some points. He told me this morning the biggest thing he's looking to Homestead. He said this is the most important race next to Homestead because they want to have a chance at the championship. Meanwhile, the 2 is on pit road. You can see right sides going on. His car really took off well, held the pace well, a tick on the tight side. Regan?
The 18 car on the right-hand side of your screen, Kyle Busch. We heard his radio before. He finished that up with saying, get me to fire off better and we'll be faster in the long run. The 20 car on the left-hand side of your screen, Christopher Bell, our leader. He fired off too free. The car started to get tight. He has really good turn on throttle, though happy otherwise.
Bell exits, jumps in front of the 18. It looks like they will come off the way they entered. 1, 2, 3 for Bell, Kyle Busch, Tyler Redick. Cole Custer is the 4th off the pit lane. We did have some drivers who stayed on track. Should be an interesting restart. We've got the green flag to end stage 1 when we return to ISM. We were having some fun with this earlier. Just a quick reminder on Kevin's record when it comes to ISM Raceway. 9 Cup wins, 7 of the last 13. But what stands out to me, boy, is that lone Xfinity win. I mean, no one should be coming to you for advice at this place.
It's like an empty flagpole right there.
You know, we were joking a couple of weeks ago at Atlanta, and everybody was Harvicking, running that line down low. And you mentioned the trough down around the yellow line here. Is that kind of the Harvick line when it comes to Phoenix, Kevin?
Well, the yellow line is the line. That's where you want to be. You want to have the left sides right on the yellow line, and you know, turns 1 and 2 can have some different lines. So it's definitely a place where you want to be low.
Let's look at Cole Custer. The bad news is their stop didn't go like they wanted it to. But the good news is they really didn't lose any ground because they came in 4th behind Bell, Kyle Busch, and Redick, and that's how they exited the pit lane. And hopefully they got the bad one out of the way, because a bad pit stop here, a loss of track position, certainly can equal problems later in the race. What about the 11 here? Justin Haley, they stayed out, going to restart 3rd, Regan.
Well, they did, Adam, and part of the reason they did, they're having a little bit of a transmission issue in that race car. It's vibrating very bad when he's in 2nd and 3rd gear. It goes away a little bit in 4th gear, but they're worried it might break. So their strategy, let's stay out, try and get some stage points right here. If it does break, at least we have those going forward.
Top 7 cars stayed out. Syndrich leads them. You're on board with him here. Then it's Michael Annett, Justin Haley, who Regan just talked about, Brandon Brown, Greg Galding, who's coming off a career best finish, Josh Bilicki, and Ross Chastain. Those drivers yet to pit. Christopher Bell won the race off pit road. That's great news. Bad news is restarts 8th.
Yeah.
That means outside lane. That's going to be tough here.
I think Kyle Busch is going to be in a pretty sweet spot here when we get to turn 1, because he's going to go all the way on the apron. He's going to pass a bunch of cars. Well, he's on the outside, so our scoring monitors. So it's going to be Bell because he's on the inside. So.
Okay, so our scoring monitors reset now, and he will be on the inside, and we're going to have 6 laps to go, stage 1. Shot out of a cannon is the 22 of Austin Syndrich. Haley getting aggressive. Contact with Annett. That's in turns 1 and 2.
That's going to open the door for Christopher Bell there. Make a big move down the front stretch here.
Clear up here. Inside.
Bell up to 3rd, working on 2nd as we come back to see 4 laps to go on the stage. Excuse me, 5 laps to go on the stage. Redick going around Busch. Fun to watch the guys out of balance on tires. All of them going for some stage points and a playoff point.
Well, Christopher Bell definitely capitalized on his starting position and those guys on older tires in front of him. And the only way that this strategy is a success for Syndrich is if he wins this stage, because he's going to be behind in the next stage when they throw the caution here at the end of the first stage.
Yeah, all those guys that pitted just a moment ago, they'll stay out when the stage ends. Syndrich is going to have to come to get his tires and fuel, and as Kevin pointed out, going to give up a ton of track position, but he's got an enormous advantage. 4 laps to go. That restart was awesome, wasn't it?
Well, you're on old tires, and like we talked about earlier, going down into 1 and 2, it's really easy to get up into somebody, especially when you're side by side and trying to make that pass. It's easy to happen.
There's Syndrich. Got a 1 second advantage. It's going to be 2 laps to go when he comes back, and I don't think Bell is going to get there. I mean, the way they played this is going to work out pretty good for him.
Yeah, I mean, and you know, that 1 playoff point is a big deal, and we've seen a lot of who advances and who doesn't advance at the end of the year based upon 1 point. So it just depends on how he can recover in stage 2 as to whether he has a chance, to get any points there towards the top 5.
I think Christopher is going to be right there on this last lap. He's quite a bit faster than Austin here as these laps are winding down. It's going to be interesting to see if he can get there.
Allgaier on fresh tires. He goes to the inside of the 11 of Justin Haley. Kyle Busch on the move as well. That gets him to 3rd. Final lap, stage 1. And right of your screen, as you pointed out, Eric, Bell is running him down.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to have quite enough time. He needed about 1 more lap to make something happen there, but he gained a lot on him.
Austin Syndrich looking for his first stage victory of the year. Bell closing in Thought we could see a little bump, couldn't get there. Stage 1 winner, Austin Syndrich. Second time in his career he's been victorious in a stage. Bell, who won both stages at Atlanta a couple of weeks ago, was second. Kyle Busch got back to third. Michael Annett fourth. Tyler Reddick completes the top 5. Stage 1 in the books here at Phoenix. Time for a little on this date. March 9th, 1963, the Beatles debut on the Ed Sullivan Show. 73 million viewers watching, kind of like today's Xfinity race from Phoenix. March 9th, the Boeing 747 flies off. 1971, Satchel Paige nominated to the Baseball Hall of Fame. And then in 2008, Kyle Busch able to win at Atlanta. It was Toyota's first Cup victory. Kyle Busch a part of the equation here. Finished our first stage in the 3rd position. We'll cycle up to 2nd after Austin Syndrich pits. They played strategy, best we can tell, after he gets his pit work here. Driver 22 going to restart around 14th or 15th, so going to have some ground to make up. He will come down with Michael Annett, Justin Haley, and others. Scheduled stops here for him, Matt.
Crew Chief Brian Wilson knew they would take some time here, lose some pit road, lose some time on the racetrack as far as track position. He said the car needs to be much freer. He wanted a bigger swing than they were discussing earlier. Meanwhile, over on the one, you can see the handle in the back window, the one car. They're going to take a little bit extra time because he does have some damage on the left side after contact with the 11 car. They got approval from NASCAR to work on that, pull that out. His car, a little bit more on the tight side. Regan?
Well, bottom right of your screen, Justin Haley finds his pit box. He still has that vibration to contend with, and much like Michael Annett has the left side damage, Justin Haley a little bit of right side damage they wanted to take a look at. Otherwise, his car is 2-free on exit, and he's away.
And we were looking at it from our vantage point in the booth. Doesn't look like there was a ton of damage on the right side of that 11, so that's good news for Justin Haley, the rookie, coming off back-to-back top 10 finishes. No surprise, Austin Syndrich wins the stage. First off pit road, Kevin.
Austin, this is Kevin Harvick, Eric Jones, and Adam Alexander up in the booth. We see you get the stage win there. We know how important those points can be towards the end of the year. Tell us what your strategy is, where your car is working good to pass these cars that you have in front of you to gain that track position back.
Yeah, hey guys. Honestly, our strong suit this weekend so far has been the short run, so trying to balance our car out just a little bit. Obviously, it's, as you guys know from running cup practice, this place is just going to keep building tighter and tighter, so me, Brian Wilson, and the boys are trying to keep on top of it, get this money line Ford Mustang in victory lane today. I think we got a good piece, and see how many cars we can get here. Obviously, we're not too far to the pointy end, but that can change after a couple of restarts.
All right, buddy. Thanks for talking to us, and good luck.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
You look at Syndrich. He was running inside the top 5. Caution comes out. They stay on track. He wins the stage. Going to restart outside the top 10. Going to have to get aggressive when we return. Stage 2 about ready to go off for these NASCAR Xfinity Series teams. Our opening stage won by Ford driver Austin Syndrich, so we get our Ford Performance Track Facts. 13 wins in Xfinity competition for the Blue Oval here at Phoenix. That's the best among manufacturers, and the first Ford driver to win from the pole, Carl Edwards, 2005. Front row for the restart. In Stage 2, teammates Christopher Bell, Kyle Busch, Redick, Nemechek in row 2. Syndrich restarts 12th. Here we go once again from the desert.
I have a feeling Kyle Busch is going to be very aggressive on this restart, trying to get out front and get some clean air here.
Did you say Kyle Busch aggressive? Is that what you said there?
Yeah. What a surprise.
Well, you have to be, because, you know, this is just a racetrack where track position means more than other racetracks, and it's hard to make up time, it's hard to get by a guy, and all the problems that you have when you're behind a car, they just get worse.
Power move from the outside lane is what put Kyle Busch in the lead. Nemechek started row 2 going in the wrong direction, and we're on board with Austin Syndrich.
Top of 4, top of 3. Top of 3. Still top of 3.
top of 4, that's not something I really want to hear too often in Phoenix.
There is some room across the dog leg, but you don't normally talk about 3 wide. Syndrich going around Ryan Truex, making his first start of the year in the 8. 4th race, 4th different driver for that team. Chase Elliott had a top 10 to open the year at Daytona. The same for Ryan Preece at Atlanta. And Zane Smith, young guy out of California, made his debut at Las Vegas last week. Almost had a top 10, caught up in an accident in overtime, but certainly did impress.
Kevin, I think you've seen that apron come in more and more in 1 and 2. That last time through, you saw guys really getting down there and trying to make some moves, find some new grip.
Yeah, I think as we get more and more restarts, you'll see that rubber up and really start to get better and better.
Almost 4 wide there. Brandon Jones in the 19, looking below the 23 of Nemechek. For position, you're on board with Syndrich. Restart at 12, trying to get 8th from the 23.
Everybody 3 to the 8.
Redick has stayed in 3rd on the restart. And Bell, who we talked about dropping to 2nd, not going away. You know, we talk about this vantage point. On a restart, it magnifies. This is outstanding.
Oh, and he just gets loose right there. It's so easy to do getting into turn 3. You want to let off the brake as soon as you can because that's what helps the car turn.
Message being delivered. Early portion of the 2nd stage. Christopher Bell inside of Kyle Busch. Top spot on the line at Phoenix. Driver 20 can't quite clear him.
Go out there full and 8 back.
Yeah, Kyle's not just going to give that up. You know, Christopher's got a really good car, but Kyle's going to want to stay in that clean air and make him try to burn his stuff up trying to get around him.
And I think Kyle definitely knows that. I think Kyle probably feels like Christopher has a better car than he does right now, and he wants to do everything he can to hang on that right side or keep him behind him because that'll make Christopher's car drop off faster as those front tires start to go away and not turn as well.
But if you're Bell, you got to get after it, right? I mean, you look at this stage. If you're going to win stage 2, you only got 30 laps left.
Yeah, well, and the other thing is, that's a great move by Austin Syndrich right there. He really set John Hunter Nemechek up well and used that apron to help turn his car, and you heard him go with the throttle as he took more and more of that car onto the apron. That was a great move.
His tire's about 12 laps fresher, Syndrich, because of the strategy they played. How much does that pay off over the course of this run in stage 2?
Well, I think it pays off more at the beginning of the run, don't you, Eric? Just
yeah.
with the new tires. It seems like with old tires, the front just becomes really hard to turn.
And we've not mentioned, just in front of Syndrich, Ryan Sieg. Worst finish this year for driver 39, 11th. A pair of top 10s. He was top 5 at Daytona. They're 8th in points. He's been great. Kyle Busch, the man in front. We're glad you're with us on FS1.
With the start-finish line being moved here at ISM Raceway, the track feels completely different.
Under a green flag lap, when they moved the start-finish line, it didn't really change much for us driving-wise. Giving feedback, it gets a bit confusing.
Now it's all about getting that run off of turn 3, which is the old turn 1 and 2, for your entire lap.
Being able to shortcut that dog leg and being on the inside getting into turn 1 is a huge advantage.
Following this race last year, they did flip the script here at ISM Raceway. I want the two of you to be honest. How many times this weekend have you keyed the radio to give feedback on your race car and had your corners messed up?
Every time I give feedback, I'm like, now we're talking about 1 and 2 now, or are we talking about 1 and 2 before? Because we were totally on the same page the last race, not on the same page the last race here. I was talking about one end, and they were interpreting it as the other end.
Mentally, though, it's got to be hard, Eric.
It is. That's the first thing I clarified with my team. I said, now I'm talking about the current configuration. As we see a battle for the lead here, Christopher's a great run off turn 4.
Dives across that dog leg just past the start-finish line, and he's there this time. All clear, driver 20, crossover from the 18 of Kyle Busch, and the momentum off the corner not going to allow him to get there.
Kyle was trying to give him a really hard time. He got a little free there, and I don't think it quite worked out.
I was going to ask you guys, if Kyle letting Christopher ride there, was he just being mean, playing games, or did Christopher, in fact, have a chance to go get the lead, and here's the 20 back on point?
I believe that Kyle wanted to keep him back there as long as he could, because that he feels like his car is not as good as Christopher Bell's right now. But, you know, I think my question for you, Eric, and we're going to look at the dog leg before I ask you the question. Yeah, that's shorter, right?
I think it's shorter.
Yeah.
I think they changed the track when they moved it.
It's very abrupt when you go down on the inside, down through the dogleg right there. But my question that I was going to ask you, but before we looked at the dogleg, was Christopher Bell right now, when he passes Kyle Busch and knows that he's passed the guy that's with the most wins and had the most success in this series, how does that feel? You've done that.
Yeah, it's a great feeling as a driver. When you're full-time in the Xfinity Series and you can go up and pass a guy like Kyle or any of the Cup regulars, it's a great feeling. I can remember, having great cars in the Xfinity Series and being able to go up and pass guys for the lead like that. And I don't know, you get a little more extra motivation to make sure your car's going to be driving like that the rest of the day.
Was it different for you racing Kyle because of your background with him, and the same for Christopher, in the relationship you carried than it is for all these other guys?
Yeah, I think Christopher feels the same way about Kyle, that he really had his first opportunity with Kyle in the Truck Series, and when he's racing against him, it's a little more motivation to, I think, go out and beat him sometimes, but it's also a little special to think this is the guy that really gave me my shot, and how cool is it now that we can go out and race side by side in the NASCAR Top 3 Series.
And the other message that it delivers is, look, I can race with a guy that one of the best guys on Sunday. I can race door to door with him and beat him on occasion. So I think that's part of the reason why you got your opportunity, and part of the reason why Christopher Bell's going to get his.
Good racing here. Chase Briscoe in that orange 98 going after the one of Michael Annett. Really as far back as we've seen Annett today, our Daytona winner. We talked about how hot he's been in the early portion of the campaign. Down to about 15 laps to go here in our second stage.
We've seen Austin Syndrich pretty much recover from his track position, and Michael Annett has not recovered one bit. The track position has really hurt his car as he's been in traffic.
Syndrich is 7th, and I think he could get back to the top 5 before the stage ends, and we will take you to the green and white checkered flag. When we return, it's Christopher Bell on point here at Phoenix. Sorry I jumped you there. Been an entertaining afternoon so far for the NASCAR Xfinity Series here at ISM Raceway. And as we close on the end of our second stage, things are really getting good. Christopher Bell out front. He's got a half a second advantage over Kyle Busch, and he took the top spot in the dogleg.
He got the perfect run off of turn 4 to make that move. You know, that's the perfect time to be able to use that shortcut down there.
You know, these two running 1-2, and Tyler Redick is third, and it's basically been those three drivers in the top 3 spots all day. But you know, as we start to drift back a little bit, you look who's running 4th, Justin Allgaier in the top 5. I feel like here we go again with Allgaier, and as we look at the top 5, you got Gragson up there. And there's a look at Allgaier, and I think that the thing we got to point out about driver 7 is we're just getting in to his stage of the race. You said it last week, Kevin.
Well, and this has been a really good racetrack for that 7 team, and I think as we heard them talk about their car at the beginning of the race, they anticipated their car being tight and went with a looser race car to start the race and wound up being too loose. They got to make an adjustment on that car, and it seems like they made a good adjustment in the right direction. This is the guy that I feel like we need to give Brian Wilson some credit, Austin Syndrich's crew chief, because we kind of doubted what they were doing there. But he's running 6th right now, and I would, you tell me, Eric, giving up 1 stage point from where they were running 5th, and getting that stage win and that playoff point are much bigger, don't you think?
I agree. I mean, anytime you can get those stage points, that playoff point is going to be huge for them come around that time of the year. It's worked out pretty good for them. I never would have guessed it was going to work out that perfect.
Well, the reality is, as we were talking during the break, he likely was not going to work his way into the top 3. I mean, you look how those guys had separated themselves. Comes down pit road, gets the tires, loses the track position, but got the playoff point, got some stage points, and now puts himself in a great position. This is 16th and 17th. Ross Chastain, Brandon Brown. I was thinking about Ross Chastain, and as I was going through my pre-race work, I was like, you know, he almost won a truck race here back in 2013. He missed out because you beat him for your first career win, Eric.
Yeah, I remember it well. No, Ross is a great racer, and you know, he's a friend of mine, and I've enjoyed watching him get some opportunities and some good equipment, and be able to get that win at Vegas last year. And he does a very good job in the equipment he's in. They don't have the funding that some of these top teams have, so it's been fun to watch how he can go out there and have solid runs.
And I feel like that Ross's success in the other stuff, the other vehicles that he's won in, and the good runs that he's had in, has made this team better. You know, they've wound up with, looks like, with a few more sponsors on the car, and it's also made them perform a little bit better, just basically because of the things that Ross heard and saw and was around. But I feel like it's made this 4 team better.
Well, maybe the new version of Ross Chastain is the guy he was racing with there, and that being Brandon Brown, another young driver that's in lesser equipment, that's turning heads on a regular basis. And now the battle for 5th. On board with Syndrich, trying to get Gragson. If he gets back to the top 5, and we've only got 3 laps to go in the stage, I feel like they are doing everything they need to today.
You know, I know he said he had a good short run car, but again, he's coming on this long run. And
I would disagree.
Yeah, it looks like it's pretty good on the long run.
And I have bad hearing, Adam, but I thought I heard Austin Syndrich downshift, you know, 5 or 6 laps ago when they were in traffic. But maybe these cars are starting to get to that point in the run where you can start using that 3rd gear in turns 3 and 4.
Interesting. This is actually a shorter run, the shortest run likely that we'll have today, because you take the laps off at the beginning of stage 2 as we wrap up stage 1, and you go about, I don't know, roughly 35, 38 laps. So we'll be getting down to a long green flag run here after we complete this lap, because we're going to wrap up our opening second stage of the day here at Phoenix, and it's going to go to Christopher Bell, who will get his 3rd stage win of the year. Bell wins second stage. Kyle Busch is the runner-up. Then it's Tyler Redick, Justin Allgaier, Noah Gragson, the top 5. Syndrich couldn't quite get there, but he finishes 6th. Other drivers scoring points: Cole Custer, Ryan Sieg, Ryan Truex, and Justin Haley. He's trying to get his 2nd consecutive win in the desert.
Series now.
That means I'm old.
But it also means because you are not a young guy, you're married. What does a veteran driver do to spend that one-on-one time?
We went to the spa and did the whole, couples massage at the spa. And just.
So you're a spa guy?
I am a spa guy, yeah, absolutely.
You're also family oriented with your other families. I hear you guys all used to travel in motorhomes together.
We're always surrounded by people, especially family. So it's cool that my family's gracious enough with their time. They come and hang out with me. They know that if they want to spend time together, we have to do it here, and it makes it really nice.
Little Gator, where'd that nickname come from?
Everybody always used to call my dad Mr. Allgaier. So my dad was always Gator, and so we were at an ARCA race one time, and one of the crew members was like, this must be the Little Gator you always talk about. And it just stuck, and being Little Gator to my dad being Big Gator, pretty cool.
Justin Allgaier, one of the great veterans of the NASCAR Xfinity Series, had a career year in 2018, and if not for an engine failure last week at Las Vegas, would be off to another extraordinary start in 2019.
You go with him to get like a pedicure or anything?
He and I have not done the massage together.
Okay.
Yeah, let's be clear about that.
I got my toes done for the first time the other week.
Really?
Yep.
Now see, Eric, I was going to
Eric, we're on live television right now.
I was going to I was going to go into there are certain places and certain times that you say certain things because,
I'm not ashamed.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we should just transition to stage 2 is over.
I don't know
and
how
it's
deep
time
to go
play
into that.
strategy, This is, though, where the pit crews come into play because this sets the tone for the rest of the race, and we've seen it so many times. 2 short stints on the stages, and then you get a long green flag run. Here they come. Bell, Busch, Redick, Allgaier, Gregson, the top 5 for pit stops. Matt?
Third car in line, the 2, Tyler Redick. You see the 22 peel off as well. Redick said his car was just way too free at the beginning. That's why he lost so much track position. Time-wise, his car was just as good or better than the leaders. Randall Burnett is going to change the air pressure, shuffle it around to try to free the car up even more, and told him, remember to work your brake bias at the beginning of the run. Meanwhile, the 7, he is already away. His car too free to start. Regan?
Well, Kyle Busch being very descriptive on the wheel or on the radio. He needs more lateral grip so that he can tug on the steering wheel, but he also needs the steering wheel to work when he does do that. Christopher Bell, his car is just too tight, wants to be a little bit freer on the long runs.
Not as good a stop there for Kyle Busch, but he is able to maintain that second position. Top 4 stayed the same. Bell, Busch, Redick, Allgaier, Cole Custer gaining some ground. He goes +2. Let's hear from Bell, who's now got his 3rd stage win of the year.
Christopher Bell, this is Eric Jones, Kevin Harvick, and Adam Alexander from Fox Booth. You got us?
I got you.
Well, it looks like you got a really fast race car today. What are you going to do here this last run, and what does your car need to do any better to keep ahead of Kyle Busch here for the last stint of the race?
Yeah, I feel really nice. This Ream Supra is really good on the short run, and I think that's where I'm a little bit better than Kyle. So just got to be really careful that I need to keep backing up my entry so that I don't start pounding the front tires there late in the run. We're probably going to go a lot longer here than we have the first half of the race.
Sounds like a plan to me. Have fun out there, and good luck for the rest of the race.
Thanks. Hope you're having fun up there.
He's doing a good job. The free pass here goes to Stephen Light. He will restart 21st. Christopher Bell leading this thing this afternoon. Time for our Midas driving touch, highlighting Jason Ratcliffe. Crew chief for Christopher Bell, 44 Xfinity wins, 33 of those with Kyle Busch. Won the championship in '09 with Kyle, and he's delivered at NASCAR's top level as well, 15 Cup victories. Let's hear from Jason down to Regan.
Well, that's right. Veteran crew chief Jason Ratcliffe. Hey, we heard your driver say that he wanted to be a little bit freer on the long run, but how tough is it to adjust on a race car that's this fast right now?
Well, it's tough, especially, typical Phoenix. You got to be good on restart. So we're going to try to improve the long run, but we can't hurt the restarts. We got to keep it out front. So we'll keep working on it. Hopefully we'll be there at the end.
Good luck. Thanks, Jason.
They have been great together. Jason Ratcliffe, Christopher Bell. That's our Driving Trust, sponsored by Midas. We're about ready to cross the halfway point in this race, and we said these pit stops would be important. So our Xfinity fastest pit stops, we'll just keep it right there in the family. Christopher Bell, the 20 group at 12.8, and Tyler Redick's crew doing a nice job. They come off at 13.5.
See Ryan Truex back there. He's running 8th in the 8 car. I thought he had a really good car in practice, the way that their speeds looked, and it seems like they've worked on that car a little bit and obviously had a really good pit stop right there, so he's got a little better track position than he's had all day.
How about this long drive here, Kevin? No pace car? That's a lot of responsibility up to these drivers now.
It is the most lonely feeling, and you feel like you're doing something wrong because the pace car gets off the track so soon and you have to drive all the way down the straightaway on your own. I feel like I could screw something up between that long amount of time.
Final stage, Christopher Bell takes the inside lane. Kyle Busch to his outside, Redick and Allgaier in the second row. Green flag waving once again.
And it looked like an instant replay of the last restart that we had with Kyle Busch being just side by side with Christopher Bell and going to hang right on that right rear.
Allgaier peeking through to third, his best running position of the day.
It's going to be really tough down here for Christopher Bell to get clear of the 18. He's going to hold him really, really tight because he's going to want to get that clean air again and try to get a little bit of gap and see what he can do here.
It is exactly what we saw on the last restart. Only difference, a third car in the mix. Allgaier right there alongside Bell. Battles everywhere. Syndrich and Truex, Nemechek fighting with Custer.
Yeah, Ryan Truex there with a really good restart, picking up more and more spots. So they worked on that car all day.
What kind of a statement is Allgaier making here?
Well, it's the same thing that we talked about with Kyle Busch. Allgaier knows that he needs to try to take advantage of getting by Christopher Bell because I think they all feel like they all know that Christopher Bell has the fastest car, and they need to try to put themselves in front of the car to try to limit the damage that he can do by getting away. And if they're in front of him, he's not going anywhere.
And Kyle's loving this.
Yeah.
He's building a nice little gap. Christopher's having to work a little bit harder than he has all day, so he's liking what he's seeing.
Yeah, the advantage for Kyle, almost a full second because Bell had to deal with Allgaier. Redick, who's been in third good portion of the afternoon, is back to fourth. And Ryan Truex is in the top 5. You called his name, Kevin, and it's got to be difficult when you haven't been in a race car to come back with a team you haven't been with, to show up and be this good. Really speaks to his maturity and what his capabilities are.
Well, in order to get that last tenth and a half out of the race car, you have to be able to, relate to the crew the details of the car and get the most out of the car on the racetrack. Is hard to do when you're not doing that every week.
Allgaier back up to second.
Yeah, it looks like Christopher is struggling a little bit here on this restart. I don't know if his car's a little free maybe, but Allgaier's got a good car here.
I noticed, though, the clouds have rolled in, and we really didn't see that for final practice yesterday. Bit of a curveball for these guys in regard to track condition right now?
Well, we saw what it did to Kyle Busch's car last week at Las Vegas. When the sun came out, Kyle's car did not handle as well, and sometimes the track and the conditions fall into your lap. And I think right now it looks like Christopher is struggling more than he has all day, and weather could definitely have something to do with that.
Good run here just outside the top 10.
He's also in more traffic than he's been all day too. He's stuck back here now farther than he's been, and he's going to have to learn and figure out what his car wants back there.
Sieg, who ended our second stage in the 8th position, now finds himself racing Noah Gragson for 12. Just behind them, you've got Brandon Jones, Justin Haley in that mix as well. Everybody going to have to make one more pit stop And not surprisingly here at Phoenix, everyone is chasing Kyle Busch, who today is going for his 11th win in the desert. Let's crank it up from ISM Raceway. Rolling through our final stage on a cloudy Saturday afternoon here at ISM Raceway in Avondale, Arizona with Kevin Harvick, Eric Jones. I'm Adam Alexander. Kyle Busch leading this thing. And this is as calm as we've seen the racetrack all day long. This just seems to happen in this race. You get through those first two stages and things start to spread out just a little bit.
Well, I think everybody knows that those stages are short, so you have to go ahead and get after it. The qualifying has a lot to do with that in those first couple stages. But one thing we were noticing up here as we go into turns 1 and 2 out the back of Austin Syndrich's car, Cole Custer behind him, and you see him shoot down below that yellow line, and a lot of that has to do, oh man, you see the tires chattering on Syndrich's car through the camera right there, and Cole is able to get right up beside him. But you see Cole, he wants to get that left front headlight out into the air to try to get some downforce on the left front of that car to keep the nose of that car turning. And a lot of times when you get on that apron, it also helps the car kind of rotate when you get back up to that yellow line. So you can definitely use the apron down here in what is now 1 and 2 to help your car do something better than it's actually doing up on the racetrack.
This plays so non-traditional. It's not just the typical go in one end, come out the other. I got to believe the level of concentration for a driver here is as high as anywhere. Is that right?
Well, there's just so many different things going on, and I'll never forget when they added this dogleg back here, and we came here and he about spun out every time you went through it until they got it run in. But it's a very unique racetrack with the difference in the corners, and the radius of the corners is drastically different. So the braking and how you get into the corner is different in the two ends, and the way that you use the throttle is a little bit different on the two ends just because of the shape.
85 laps remaining. Kyle Busch is out front. Your top 5, Justin Allgaier, Christopher Bell, Tyler Redick, Ryan Truex. We're live on FS1 from Phoenix.
There's that Jones boy.
Always good to have Eric Jones in the broadcast booth with us, and so cool to hear him dubbed that Jones boy by Ken Squire. And you're not afraid to head to the colleges. You're starting the tour again this year, huh, Eric?
Yeah, we're doing a few more. That was pretty fun last year going around and touring Virginia Tech there. That was with David Wilson. He's an alum there, so it's been fun to go check them all out.
And, you know, speaking of Virginia Tech, Ben Bayshore, who's the crew chief for the 18 of Kyle Busch, he too is a Virginia Tech graduate. So many go the engineering route and become Hokies and then make their way to NASCAR. You guys were talking during the break about the fact these teams are going to have to make one more pit stop, and we likely will get that around lap 175. They can go 80 laps on a fuel run. Do we anticipate someone playing games? We get to lap 150, and you come down pit road, short pit this thing, Kevin, and try to gain on the good of the tire.
Well, I think if you do, I think it'll only be a lap or two, just because you get in a box here because you don't want to go a lap down, and it's such a long way around pit road here that you can lose 2 laps if it doesn't go right. So you don't want to be a lap down, and you want to try to stay on sync as much as you can with the guys that you're racing around. So there's a possibility that somebody comes short, but I think it'll only be a lap or 2 if I had to guess.
I agree.
Hey, I want to go back to the Ken Squire thing. He called you that Jones boy a few years ago at Darlington. It kind of stuck, didn't it?
It did, yeah. Yeah, we made some T-shirts, and I still get called that every once in a while.
Nice little battle here. This for the 5th position. Truex leading Custer. A couple of young drivers that really have impressed this weekend. And we've discussed the 4 weeks, 4 different drivers. Rookie crew chief Taylor Moyer. We got to give him a nod. Was the engineer for William Byron last year. So many things coming at you when you've never been on the pit box calling a race before. Oh, man, that was tight for Cole Custer. Moyer, though, doing an outstanding job leading this 8.
Well, and there's a number of other things that come in with having to manage as well, with the different seats and the different pedal combinations and all the little ins and outs of what each driver likes also has to be managed by the crew chiefs. And when you're doing this West Coast swing, it's hard to have those cars prepared with all those little details right. So he's definitely got a lot going on and done a good job.
Allgaier, his teammate, is 2nd, but under attack right now, Matt.
He's got his mirror full, but a stellar day so far. The first stage, free on both ends of the racetrack. Plow in the center. They fixed the exit, but his big issue now, turn 3, way too free still. He came on the radio a few laps ago and said, can you please check the stop to make sure we got them all tight? I have a vibration. They reported back that everything looked good, but it's up to you. We're ready if you need us. And so he's kept soldiering on. But I do have one question for you, Eric. 2019, you need to add America's School, Florida State, to your trips to college campuses.
Are you going to Tallahassee? Are they on the list there?
Hey,
oh, yeah.
The good news is you can get cheap football tickets. They
might let me in for free there.
Yeah.
I did hear you got Michigan on the docket, which has got to be special going back home.
Yeah, I have a lot of friends that went to Michigan, and for me, I grew up a big sports fan in Michigan, so it's going to be pretty cool to go down there.
We saw the battle for 2nd. Let's hear from the race leader. Radio from Kyle Busch with 71 to go.
Car's better, turning better, and had better rear grip. Need a little bit more rear grip to keep up with the front turn. Or that last change was a good change, so a little bit more that direction, not a lot.
It's really been difficult for Kyle to get on the same page with his new crew chief in the Xfinity Series, Ben Bayshore. They've had one race together, had some adversity, won last week at Las Vegas, and hey.
Oh, and Allgaier's in the fence.
Try to get down as quick as you can and just stop. Just get down and stop.
That was Stephen Light that went up in smoke.
Keep rolling up here.
And I don't.
Coming inside here. Inside.
Did Allgaier get in fluid, or did he just not see because of the smoke? I couldn't tell what happened there.
The 20's sitting down there as well.
Oh, Bell with huge damage.
Wow, that's a game changer.
Well, they were running 2nd and 3rd, right behind Light when he blew up.
Yeah, that was a massive blow up. I would say that's a failure of the oil pan to contain the internals.
Yeah, I just couldn't tell, Kevin. They went up in smoke, and if it was just a lack of visibility or if they did, in fact, get in some fluid. But huge damage for Christopher Bell, not quite as bad for Allgaier. And you see the 0-1, Stephen Light driving for JD Motorsports, still a little bit of a fire on his race car. 4th caution of the day.
Yeah, that's going to be the end of Christopher Bell's day, I would have to say.
Well, he's been involved in an incident 2 weeks in a row. They were able to salvage a top 15 last week because it happened so late, but you saw the cart's already headed to the garage. He's going into 3, blows up, does light. And look at this smoke cloud that he puts behind him. What are these guys seeing?
Nothing.
A lot of white smoke. Yeah, that's really unfortunate for Christopher and Justin. You know, they were both having great days, and you can see just in the oil and nothing they can do.
Yeah.
Man, that is an eerie feeling, too. I mean, you hit the oil in it, and your car just instantly jumps out of control. And you saw both of those cars jump sideways right there as soon as they hit the fluid. And that is a eerie feeling as a driver because it just instantly snaps.
How about the 2 weeks for those two drivers, guys that you got to believe can win the championship? Allgaier lost an engine and had his day come to an abrupt close at Las Vegas, and Bell wrecked in overtime. We're on board here with Redick.
Low. They're wrecking. Stay low. Stay low. Hit the apron. Come on. Get by it.
Wow.
All right, you're good. Keep going down bottom.
Great job by the spotter right there. And Tyler Redick was actually lucky that he was passing a car and not in the groove because he was below the oil.
Yeah, that's the voice of Derek Nealon. And there you see, I mean, how out of sorts Allgaier was as he went up near the wall. His damage, significant certainly, but I think they can get him buttoned up and have a chance to salvage something out of this. For Christopher Bell, he's already gone to the garage window, net is down, and he is done. And now we get pit stops with 68 to go. This will be their last trip down, Matt.
And a lot of conversation as far as the game plan on the 7. Now, Eddie DeHunt, his spotter, has had a really good eye view from the spotter stand down in what's now 3 and 4 to relay to the team exactly what they're going to do. You can see a lot of bare bond. They're going to try to pull out that sheet metal on that right rear corner, fixing the damage first, then we'll service the race car. Meanwhile, on the right side of your screen, Tyler Redick, an air pressure change on that 2 car, Regan.
The 18 of Kyle Busch, we just heard his radio. His race car's turning better, but he still needs a little bit more rear grip. The other thing he was getting was a lot of lap times from the cars behind him. A clean stop for the 18.
The day may have just gotten a whole lot easier for Kyle Busch. Best competition all afternoon. Christopher Bell, Justin Allgaier was coming on. They both have put themselves squarely behind the 8 ball. Redick moves up to second as he gets a spot on the cycle of stops. Custer, Truex, Syndrich, the top 5, exiting pit road behind race leader Kyle Busch. And let's go back and look one more time at the details of our 4th caution of the day.
Yeah, he's just sideways coming out of the smoke right there from hitting the fluid and just no control up the racetrack. So they're going to be able to get that car fixed, but they have to get everything sealed up on the deck lid and quarter panel.
67 laps to go. We've had a game changer here at Phoenix. If you're a college basketball fan, it's your favorite time of the year. March is here. All the conference tournaments firing up this week. And on Fox, FS1 of the Fox Sports app, you're going to watch exclusive coverage of the Big East Basketball Championship. Marcus Howard, a Player of the Year candidate for Marquette. Villanova, the defending champs. It's going to be fun. It all starts March 13th on the Fox family of networks. Under caution for the 4th time today, keep an eye far right of your screen, 20 of Christopher Bell.
Yeah, and the interesting part of this is they're both offline from the smoke, and they have put no oil dry on the entrance to the corners. So we'll have to ask these guys, and maybe Christopher can give us some insight, but maybe they hit the brakes and the car started wheel hopping, Eric. I mean, it's just a really odd situation because we thought they got in oil.
Yeah, it's an interesting. Yeah, it's really interesting. I don't really know what to say other than that. It looks as though they.
Now watch like bottom left. You're going to see him, bottom center. There he is right there.
Yeah, I mean, it is an easy spot of the track. If you're really going to get aggressive on the brakes and try to miss something, it is easy to wheel hop. So we don't know. Have to talk to Christopher about that one, I believe.
I mean, he's really the only one that can answer that question.
Hey, the one thing I'll say, though, winning at Atlanta, he won a stage already today. All of that helps take the pressure off when you're in a circumstance like this. Allgaier hasn't won, had an engine failure last week. Now, he may come back today and finish in the top 20, but that's what makes it difficult when you don't have a win. This is from Redick's perspective. You can see him getting sideways down there.
Yeah, I mean those cars were sideways, halfway into the entry to the bottom of the corner, from the wall to the bottom of the corner, halfway into that distance. They were sideways, and these cars go through the same thing. But it's got to be a situation to where they just panicked because you think it's oil from a driver's standpoint. When you see all that smoke, the first thing you think is, I don't need to be in that line because there's oil on the racetrack, and you pull the car down, and sometimes you panic and hit the brake too hard, and it starts to slide the car up the racetrack wheel hopping.
Allgaier's made several trips down pit road. He stayed on the lead lap. Kyle Busch, Redick, Custer, Ryan Truex, Austin Syndrich, your top 5. My favorite part of the broadcast, the boxing promo. Welterweight world champion Showtime Sean Porter defends his belt for the first time as he battles top-rated contender Yordenis Ugas. It's live in primetime tonight, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific, only on Fox. Let's hear from Matt Yoakum.
Well, Christopher Bell, a lot of debate between Jones and Harvick about exactly what transpired. The smoke, or was there oil? What was it?
Well, it was definitely both. I saw him blow up going into one, and I figured it was going to be slick. I saw the 7 car start sliding, and then I started sliding, and as soon as I entered the smoke wall, I couldn't see anything. I lost my bearings of where I was, and next thing you know, I'm smacking the wall. So frustrating and very disappointing because our ream Camry was extremely strong, and I don't know, it was weird. My car didn't really feel that much worse that run, but once I got back behind those guys, I just really couldn't pass them.
Started on the pole, led the most laps, won stage 2, but Christopher Bell is done for the afternoon. His teammate leading this thing, Kevin.
Hey Kyle, this is Kevin and Eric up in the booth, and we're both really intrigued as to what you were fighting early in the race and how you made that car better in what part of the racetrack.
I've been fighting the back end of the car pretty much all weekend, just being loose, and probably working on a little track bar there, a little air pressure stuff in order to try to make the back get back in the racetrack so I can have the ability to turn the steering wheel. That's been the best part.
10-4, man. We appreciate you talking to us. Good luck in the rest of the race.
Thank you.
We got 60 laps left. Going to be inside of that when we get the restart. And if Kyle's not going to win today, the guy that might have a chance to beat him is Tyler Redick.
Apparently the 20 and the 7 just got scared of smoke, I guess. I don't know. Even I hit it, like going down the back straightaway, like into 3. Even I was getting loose, and I was down towards the bottom a little bit.
So what do you make of that conversation with spotter Derek Nealon? Because it sounds like Redick was referring to maybe some oil as well, or no? What do you take from what Redick said there?
The only guess I would have is water, and it was evaporated by the time they got there. I don't know.
It's odd.
I mean, this is a really weird situation because of the way the car spun. I mean, it looks like oil, but they put nothing on the racetrack, and obviously they don't see anything.
Leader all day has taken the inside lane. Changes here with Kyle Busch, and I know you and I were talking, not surprising given what he's done out there so far this afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, he's taken the lead 2 times on the top, and he's in control now, so he should get a better launch than the inside car and get an even better run into turn 1. So I think it makes sense, don't you, Eric?
Yeah, I agree. It's so much easier to be that guy on the outside and really control the guy in the bottom and put him in a box a little bit.
Last time we saw these two in this situation, it was overtime in Las Vegas, and we got another quick caution because Redick went around. Second row, Custer and Truex. 58 remaining as they get to the start-finish line. Bye-bye Busch. Truex trying to get to second. Contact for Custer, who has to hang on.
And we're lucky that wasn't a huge wreck.
Yeah, that's a really tough spot. Cole was in there, being in the middle of 3 wide. It's not an easy situation.
Allgaier, damage and all, knocking on the door of the top 10. Maybe not as many problems as we thought with that 7 car.
Well, it looks like they've done a really nice job of getting the deck lids sealed up and everything. The biggest thing is there's no tire smoke, so that's the most important thing to keep going.
Jason Burdett and the 7 crew doing an unbelievable job of keeping Justin in the game. And Ryan Truex hanging around at the front behind Kyle Busch. Watch middle of your screen, 00 Cole Custer.
He's just in a bad spot. Behind cars, in the middle, and the car just steps out on him. And luckily when he came up the racetrack, he didn't clip John Hunter Nemechek harder than he did and spin him around and wreck a whole bunch of cars.
And I'm guessing at this point, as a driver, you know, getting a restart, just over 50 to go, it's time to make it happen, right?
Yeah, everybody's being aggressive, making big moves, and looks like Cole Custer just kind of got, like Kevin said, in a bad spot, and not really a lot he could do.
He's back to 10th. Allgaier inside of Haley. That's for 11th on track, and I just can't say enough good things about Ryan Truex.
Yeah, we talked about this yesterday after practice, Adam. We talked about how his lap times looked, and you know, I think as Ryan has gone through the beginning part of this race and really got into a rhythm and been able to give some good information to his team after he's comfortable in the car during the race here, I think he's just gotten better. And the other thing is, as you get closer towards the front,
the better your car handles.
And hey, we should point out he is the younger brother. Most would know this, but the younger brother of Martin Truex Jr. is a Cup champion. Eric, your teammate over at Joe Gibbs Racing, and carrying the colors this weekend of Martin's Foundation. If you have a chance to check it out, go over to their website. But Martin's longtime girlfriend, Sherry Pollux, has battled cancer. They've done so many unbelievable things to raise money. The Catwalk for a Cause that happens in May, one of the great galas in the NASCAR community every spring, and it's good to see him carrying those colors here this weekend. Cole Custer trying to go back to the front, drives around the 9 of Gregson. That's for 9th.
Yeah, and Cole lost a whole bunch of spots on that restart when he got sideways, so he's trying to minimize the damage right here as we get towards the end of the race and make up as many of those spots as he can.
Yeah, and if the camera drifts just a little, you're going to start to see Justin Allgaier. And we had said how important the end of this race might be for him because of the engine problems they had last week, and they're hanging around. And I'm telling you, there may not be a better start when you look at expectations to the year than this team right here. Ryan Sieg looking for his 3rd top 10 finish in 4 races. They entered 8th in points, and we've chronicled the changes they made in the offseason, bringing Shane Wilson over, but they're answering the bell, and it doesn't matter what kind of racetrack.
Well, and it's the snowball effect too, and you know, the better that you run, it's a momentum builder for your team, and you start to realize the things that are working for you, but you also wind up getting more attention on TV, and you wind up getting more sponsorship, and that makes things go faster as well.
And the more you run at the front, the more confidence you have as a driver, right?
Every week, and they're exceeding expectations.
The 9 has done some positive things as well. Looking at another top 10, Regan.
Right now he is looking at that top 10, Adam, but Kevin mentioned earlier in the show losing a jack post here before. That's the issue with the 9 car right now. They're hoping this race goes green to the end, because if they have to come back down pit road again, they don't have a right side jack post because of the dog leg. It fell off when they went through there. It broke off when they went through there a little while ago. So a little concern there if the caution comes back out for this team.
And I would hope, I mean, everybody pitted here with just under 70 laps to go. They don't have any more tires, so you would anticipate that they won't be making another pit stop. And the climb continues after that rough restart for Cole Custer around the aforementioned Ryan Sieg in the 39, trying to get up to 8th.
Yeah, and you see Cole right on that yellow line down there as the race runs on here through the laps. You see those yellow lines start to turn black, and those lines start to get grippier, and you can usually use them better through 1 and 2.
Jeremy Clements back to the top 15, racing Brandon Brown in the 86. Jeremy's dad, we talked about this during practice yesterday. Jeremy's dad, Tony, is his crew chief, also the engine builder. They run their own engines, and if they weren't manufacturing their own engines, they wouldn't be here. It's a huge cost savings for that group out of Spartanburg, South Carolina, and a great job paying it off today. Clements in the top 15.
And that's a great luxury, because when you talk about the cost of racing, the engines are a huge expense, like, you know, 15, 16, up to 18% of the budget of what you spend on a team. So building your own engines, that's a huge luxury for those guys.
Briscoe here is 13th. He was in the top 10, got a speeding penalty on that last cycle of stops that put him behind. I feel like he's run 8th to 12th all year long. Every time we look up, that's where the 98 is. Kind of a frustrating place, or at least it can be, Eric.
Yeah, it is, you know, and they've been working, obviously, I'm sure, to get better each week. But, you know, Chase is a good driver, and we saw that last year with some of the races that he's run. And I'm sure they'll figure it out. You know, not everybody can always start the season out fast, so hopefully they're going to get it figured out here soon and continue to improve.
And the one thing I can tell you for Chase, he's been over in the trailer the last couple weeks. I feel like the 00 has been a little further off the 18 and the 20 than they were at the end of the year last year. So I feel like both of those cars, you know, are a little further off than what they ended the year and have to gain a little ground.
45 laps to go for the NASCAR Xfinity Series at Phoenix. Kyle Busch continues to lead. He's been out front for 71 laps so far today. You know, when we do Xfinity Series races, we like to talk about the regulars, okay? But it's unavoidable to bring up the domination of Kyle Busch, especially when you come to ISM Raceway. 10 wins here in 22 starts, and look at the laps led. That's not in 22 starts, that's in his 10 victories alone. He's leading over 161 laps per victory. And I guess if you look at it that way, it's just a below average afternoon for driver 18 because he's only led 78 laps and there's only 38 to go. So he's not going to get to that 160 threshold today, even if he does lead the rest of it.
What a shame. I'm so sad for Kyle right now that he is not going to lead that many laps.
And with the crazy part about Kyle, and you're around him in the meetings and stuff, but I can guarantee you that he's going to come back and he's going to critique everything about that car and what they did wrong and what they can do better. And he's just a competitive guy, and he's always going to detail everything that goes with that race car to make it go faster.
He is. You know, I remember when he was injured back a few years, I went over to see him, and he had a big notebook, and he was taking notes when he was watching the races of everything that was going on. So he's just a competitor, and it's amazing to watch.
But look at Ryan Truex. Second place right now. Dale Jr. worked a deal with B.J. McLeod in the offseason to get this number 8 because Jr. is going to run a throwback paint scheme at Darlington later this year. One of the many various drivers that will get behind the wheel. Going to see Jeb Burton in a few weeks' time at Texas Motor Speedway.
We need to give Dale Jr. a shout out for putting all these young kids in these cars and starting all these careers because he gives a lot of people a chance.
Tyler Redick is third. I feel like he's been third all afternoon. Redick has been great. 3 straight years where he's been with a different race team and doing good things for RCR after winning the championship for Dale Jr. last year. On board with Austin Syndrich. He's worked his way back to the top 5 after winning stage 1. And there's John Hunter Nemechek. Second last week at Las Vegas, very quietly. Opened at Daytona with a top 10. And you can see kind of a yo-yo day for the driver out of Mooresville, North Carolina. His dad, a former series champion, and he's got some company in the form of Brandon Jones.
And Brandon's done a great job today just keeping himself in the mix, as well as Michael Annette here. I mean, he's had another solid day. We saw him get stuck a little earlier in the race with some track position, but he's worked his way back forward.
I look at all these drivers and I immediately think to the new driver-crew chief relationships. You see a lot of positions changing here and a lot of guys working together for the first time, and none of that worked out for Nemechek. He drops back to 8th. Custer now up to 6th behind Jones, and he brought Michael Annette with him.
Yeah, Cole Custer, he gained 2 spots right there in one lap, so that worked out for a pretty good lap for Cole.
Got Mike Shiplett on the box, and I think the minute he came over there, the expectations, which were already high, changed again because Shiplett has had so much success in recent years at Chip Ganassi.
Yeah, he has. You know, the 42 car was one of the, if not the best Xfinity cars over the last couple of years, and now having them over with Cole is going to be good for him. You know, Cole's a great driver, and he's improved a lot over the last year and a half, and I'm sure they're going to win more than a couple races this year.
It takes time. You know, when you put new people together, and you, especially when you bring, you know, a new crew chief outside of your organization into your organization, and the different thought processes and all the things that come with that. All right, how do we implement this into what we've been doing, and what's going to work, what's not going to work, and sometimes that's hard to do and takes a little bit of time.
You know, you look at the top 10, and the final car in that category is Chase Briscoe, who you see here. All of those drivers are either working with a crew chief for the first time this season or had limited opportunities to work with them a year ago. So this is the first time they've done it on a regular basis. It speaks to that learning curve and how quickly everyone is adapting.
Well, the beginning of our season is a learning curve as well, because you go to all these different styles of racetracks, and you know, this is our first short track of the year, so you know, that learning curve has gone to different racetracks to go along with learning the people and how they work together.
Noah Gragson started on the pole, was second in the Gander Outdoors Truck Series race here last year, driving the car that won the championship in 2018, the 9, and there's the 11 of Justin Haley. He and Chris Rice went up to Ohio. That's the home of owner Matt Collick. Spent some time with elementary school students this week doing some engineering type work And Tyler's a guy that works on his own race cars. He's done a lot of short track racing, so he really understands, Justin Haley understands what the cars are all about, and certainly it's good to see him in the garage. Saw Haley there, or rather Allgaier, who's 13th.
Cole Custer there making another move. Looks like he's able to rebound after that rough restart and start to kind of pick his way back to the front.
Had it set up for the long haul, I guess.
Well, I think you're seeing how well his car is actually working because of the fact that he's able to pass cars, and we've talked so much about track position and how much worse your car gets behind people. You see how much better his car is handling than the cars he's racing around right now, but that's what happens when you have trouble on a restart and you lose 5 or 6 spots, and you just have to work your way back forward. But obviously they've got a good handling car right now.
Since the speeding penalty, nice little rally here for Chase Briscoe. We've shared this story a couple of times throughout the weekend, but it bears repeating. He had set his wedding date after getting engaged in the off-season for November 22nd, talking about Briscoe. Just this past week, NASCAR announced the schedule for all their championship banquets. The Truck Xfinity banquet is going to be November 22nd, so they had to adjust their wedding date just in case he's a part of the equation on championship night in NASCAR. That's true love, isn't it?
Yeah, and we happen to be sitting talking to Delaney and I talking and looking at Twitter together, and she said, "Oh, these young kids. Sometimes they gotta know what's going on. They'll learn." When
you've been married 18, 20 years, it kind of puts it all in perspective, doesn't it, Kevin? What do you say, Regan?
Well, you guys are talking about Chase Briscoe. Hey, this weekend started very challenging for them. I talked to them in practice the other day. They were chattering the front tires. Well, they finally gotten that race car freed up. But the thing I thought was most interesting was listening to them at the start of the race. His spotter, Timmy Fidua, who Kevin, I think you know pretty well, was coaching him up, really coaching him up on how to pass cars at this racetrack, because it is so difficult to pass and to have to get clean air on your nose. As the race has gone on, he's gotten better and better, and it's been completely different on the radio.
And it really is an art. And, as you get behind a race car and you're faster at this particular racetrack, you have to let off in different spots, let the car roll different, let off the brake different, get in the throttle different. So you have to actually adjust everything that you're doing in order to make sure your car's in the right spot to try to make a pass or start a pass and then finish it.
You really end up shifting your corner around. Is probably that's how I like to put it. Is you change the way you're getting in, and you get a better run off to kind of set those guys up to make the pass on the straightaway.
Had 4 cautions in the race so far today. Last couple of weeks, we've gotten a yellow flag late in the event, and Michael Annett had a moment with a lapper that could have very well brought a caution out here today with less than 25 to go. Whew, that's Mike Harmon.
And that wall jets out right to the yellow line. So there's really nowhere for the inside car to go right there without hitting the wall. So it's definitely a tricky part of the racetrack. And I've seen guys hit the left side of their cars with the wall, on the wall, in the past on a restart or something when they get squeezed down there. So that was tight.
What do you think Kyle's thinking right now? He's out here cruising around, or?
Last week after the Cup race, Kyle was flaming mad, and I walked up to the media section where he was doing the interviews, and he's spitting fire, not wanting to talk to anybody. And I looked right at him. I said, "You need a hug, don't you?" You're mad.
Did you give him one?
No. He immediately turned around and walked off, and right now he's probably thinking that I've got him beat today. I just need to go as fast as I need to go, and keep him in my mirror and not overdrive my car and take my time.
Is he managing the equipment a little bit here in anticipation of the fact we could get another restart if the caution were to come out?
Oh, I'm sure he's pretty happy with his 2.5 second gap, and probably not trying to really gain much more than that. He's going to manage in case, like you said, you get in a situation with a late race restart, so he's probably taking it a little bit easy here.
Put Chastain a lap down. 4 cars in 16th right now. There's Truex, second. He's 2.6 seconds behind Busch.
Tell these two to simmer it down, boys. Simmer down. I wait told them.
See, so he's having fun because he's joking around on the radio. So you can definitely tell when he swings it the other way, but he definitely knows he's in control right now.
Brandon Jones, Michael Annett racing for 6th here.
I think we need to give Travis Mack a shout out.
Uh-huh.
Michael Annett has just had a phenomenal start to the season, obviously winning at Daytona. But that really, to me, isn't the whole story. The whole story is the fact of how consistent they have run. And obviously today he's running 7th and just had a solid day. And that's not something that we've seen out of Michael in the past. And I got to believe that, having Travis come over and that experience that he brings and the things that he's done, have obviously added a lot of confidence to the team. But you can't drive a slow car fast. And obviously they're doing a great job with his cars and being able to make them drive better. And they're doing a great job.
It's been an interesting year for Travis Mack. We saw him on the pit box there. And I told this story briefly last week, but he began 2018, crew chief at the Cup level for the first time at Levine Family Racing. And that just didn't go well. And eventually he's let go and left to wonder what's next. And immediately I thought, well, if there's an opportunity to get him involved at Junior Motorsports because of his long-term connection in Hendrick, that would be great. And that's what happened. And these two have been unbelievable dating till late last year.
Well, the thing that happens when you go Cup racing is you learn a level of detail that you don't ever forget. And the expectation of details, at the Xfinity Series are different because you have less people. But when you have that experienced crew chief that has that Cup level detail, it carries over to a lot of success, in my opinion, on the Xfinity side.
It's so important for all these drivers when they come to town to do more than just hang out at the racetrack. And Eric, your teammate Brandon Jones, and we've talked about his success when it comes to getting behind the wheel of the race car this year, but he's also doing great things away. He's always serving our military, and as a part of his trip to Phoenix, got to go over and tour Luke Air Force Base earlier this week.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Brandon's always been a big supporter of our military, as are all the drivers in all 3 series, but pretty neat when you get to go hang out with the men and women that have fought and served for our country and get to see what they get to do on an everyday basis.
Not a sport that does it better. I tell you what, this garage is full of great people, and on a weekly basis we support our military and appreciate everything that they do. And when you talk about giving and charities and all the things that come with the drivers and teams and people in this garage, there's not a sport that does it better.
And another driver has got a new crew chief this year. Jeff Mendering went over to start working with him after his stint at Stewart-Haas Racing, and we've documented, both Matt and Regan have told the story many times about how Jeff and Brandon have spent countless hours together in the simulator preparing for these races and the situations that they would face early on this year, and certainly handling it well. Nearly a top 5 last week before that crash, and running 6th here today.
Tyler Redick really moving up down in turns 1 and 2, really trying to work that top lane in, which sometimes works here later in these tire runs. You can get up there and make some headway on that higher line.
Yeah, and the interesting part about this particular racetrack is if you can get the racetrack cleaned off down in 1 and 2, there's some little sections of seams that have where they put the filler in, and sometimes if they get enough rubber on them, you'll find sections of the corner that have a little bit of grip, and you can slide up into it and get the car pointed off the corner. So Tyler Redick is really good at moving around and finding grip. That's obviously something that he learned in his dirt racing, and we've seen a few of those guys do that.
This is for position, albeit a lap down. Gray Gaulding in the 08, driving for Bobby Dodder. Both he and teammate Ray Black Jr. had a career best finish last weekend at Las Vegas. They were 11th and 12th. And here's Gray again, inside the top 20, knocking on the door of the top 15. They don't have a ton of money. In fact, he told me yesterday during practice, I like to call my guys the 6-pack because that's how many employees we have working on these race cars. He's getting everything he can out of it.
Yeah, and that really makes me feel old because we used to have a go-kart track at my house, and I remember Gray coming over the first time, and I think it was 7 years old. So now he's up here driving cars, competing on a full-time basis. It's amazing how fast time goes by, but they're doing a great job with what they have.
Well, his dad, Dwayne, was a longtime supporter of Jason White, who raced in the Truck Series and here in the Xfinity Series, and it was that relationship that fostered with Bobby Dodder, and that's why Gray Gaulding is driving the car now. So you get down to 8 to go. You've dominated the race. No doubt you've got the best race car. Now do you start to hear all the kinks because you know the checkered flag is near, Eric?
Well, yeah. I mean, when you've been this good here for the last 100 laps or so, you're At this point, when I've been in this situation, you just want to see that white flag. You want to get to the point where you know you're coming back to the checkered. You don't want a late race restart. You don't want to have to go through that all again and have an opportunity to make a mistake or give it up. So I'm sure Kyle's hoping for that white flag here anytime.
See Brandon Jones here with Michael Annett. Just in front of them, getting by moments ago. Chase Briscoe talked about his great run late after a speeding penalty. There you see Chase in the 98.
And he's gone forward. That car has really come on well as we've gone deep into this run.
You know, another dirt racer, those guys seem to really thrive on the long runs and some tire conservation. And when these cars start to slide around, he seemed to move forward here on every run of the day.
The one thing about the dirt racers that always amazes me is they're just never afraid to just throw it up in the third lane, see what's up there, move around the racetrack. For me, I feel like if I get off the lane, I'm going to drive up the racetrack into the stuff and, you know, drive it into the fence. So
yeah, I feel the same way. Or when they come off of turn 4, smoking the right rear every other lap, they don't seem to mind that either.
5 to go for Kyle Busch. Most wins all time at a single track by a driver in the Xfinity Series. Mark Martin at Rockingham. They got 11 victories there. And if Kyle can hang on, he's going to get his 11th win at ISM this afternoon.
Do you ever wonder where he puts all his trophies?
Down to 4 laps to go. Going to have to make room for another one, I do believe.
I think so.
As many as he has, it's probably becoming expensive to figure out where to store them.
I have to imagine, yeah.
What a year, though, for Joe Gibbs Racing. 1, 2, 3 in the Daytona 500. Truex, you know, nearly wins at Atlanta a couple of weeks ago. Christopher Bell dominates at Atlanta. Kyle gets it done last weekend at Las Vegas in the Xfinity Series. We talked about the strength of Brandon Jones over here. I mean, you guys across the board really had it handled, Eric.
Yeah, we've had some good cars to start the year off. The Xfinity Series obviously been really strong. I think we've got a few strides to make on the Cup side to get where we want to be, but you know, JGR always does a great job on both sides. But the Xfinity Series, they've really thrived for years over there on making gains and being the top team.
For Kyle Busch today, it would be NASCAR win number 198 when you look at the top 3 series, as he continues to chase down number 200. By the way, he'll make his 1,000th start in the top 3 series in NASCAR in our Xfinity event at Texas Motor Speedway in just a few weeks. And now he just wants to see the white flag, as Eric said, and he's going to get it this time around. The white flag is waving. 1 lap to go, sponsored by Credit One Bank.
That is one good feeling when you see that white flag and you've been leading all day long and seeing that thing and knowing you're coming back.
Little lap traffic shouldn't be a problem down the back straightaway. 116 laps led for Kyle Busch. A little desert domination as driver 18 gets his 11th win at Phoenix.
Good job, guys. Thank you. Good work.
Business
awesome job there,
as
man.
usual.
Good job in your car all weekend. Got the fresh tires on there at the end. Took off.
Last week, Ben Bayshore became the 15th different crew chief to win with Kyle in the Xfinity Series, and they're undefeated 2-0 after their win here today.
Well, it's always great to see a new sponsor come into in the iK9.com, and they're the sponsor of the race today on Kyle's car, and you've seen Jeffrey Earnhardt drive that car, so it's always fun to see new sponsors come in and have success.
Yeah, and actually going to support a car driven by Jeffrey that's affiliated with Joe Gibbs, but will not be a full JGR operation when we go to Texas Motor Speedway, I believe it is, in a few weeks.
That's correct. I believe he's got this down to a science too.
Yeah, it's got to be got to cut into the TRD motor count when they're doing all these burnouts, right?
Yeah, I think he works hard on cutting into that one.
We mentioned he's closing on 200 wins when it comes to the Gander Outdoors Truck Series here in Xfinity and Monster Energy NASCAR Cup. He's also closing on 100 wins in the Xfinity Series, number 94 today, as he climbs from the smoke, and we will get the checkered flag and then the bow from Kyle Busch. He'll try and make it 3 in a row next weekend because he's back in the 18 car as we head off to Southern California, racing in Fontana at Auto Club Speedway.
They better get back in that one before it rolls off.
Yeah, it's trying to leave.
An incredible day for Kyle Busch, leading 116 laps and claiming the win here at ISM Raceway. Okay, Twitter trolls hit on us for celebrating the terrific trifecta of Kyle Busch. I know it's coming, but he was unbelievable today. 995 NASCAR starts. He's won 198 times in the top 3 series of NASCAR. You see the percentages across the board as far as top 5s and top 10s. And he's led a ton of laps. And as Eric said, he's pretty much perfected this celebration. And of course, he knows his way to victory lane. Regan?
Well, plenty of experience celebrating in victory lane for Kyle Busch, as we have documented. Gatorade flowing, water flowing. Kyle, you made that look easy at the end today, but it was a challenge early on. We listened to your radio a lot. You guys had to work hard on this race car to get it to where it was fast enough to win.
Yeah, kind of like last week, but Christopher was certainly going to give me a run for my money today, so can't say enough about our guys at Joe Gibbs Racing. Obviously, they build really fast Supras, and I want to say thanks to iK9. This is the iK9 Service Dog 200, so certainly it's really, really cool to be able to win for them again and to be able to put them in victory lane back-to-back and in their race here at ISM Raceway. So I'm super thankful to them for the opportunity to come out here and run a few races each year and to be able to put on a good show. I mean, Christopher, I hated he got caught up in that mess, but obviously it was going to be really a fun run to the end there. And yeah, I mean, certainly want to give thanks to Mark Cronquist. These JGR engines were strong, and you know, Monster Energy, Cessna, Adidas, DVX, Cywear, Black Clover, and the fans. I mean, it's always cool to come out with Rowdy Nation and having their support and everybody that backs us and what we're able to do and what we're able to accomplish. And obviously we're doing a lot of those things these days, and there's a lot of talk and all that sort of stuff. But hey, you know, if I'm allowed to enter a race, I'm going to enter a race. I'm going to go out there and race, and I'm going to go out there and try to win. And if I win, we win. If not, we got to go again the next time. But these guys here, they're great. So, you know, congrats to all these guys that worked so hard to get me to where I'm at.
And I can't believe Regan did not invite him to go crowd surf with the 500 fans that are down there in the pit next to Victory Lane. Maybe tomorrow, Matt. What do you have for us, Matt?
Impressive day for Ryan Truex. This was a statement type day for you.
Yeah, I guess it's good when you lose to Kyle Busch. I just got us behind at the start there. We were just too free, and I just couldn't run anywhere on the track, so I lost a lot of track position early. And we worked hard all day to keep it up and get it back, and then we had that weird deal where the ignition just stopped working, and I don't know what was going on there, but Taylor and the guys worked really hard. I'm really proud of them. Made the right changes, did everything they had to do to give me a good car, and I got that restart behind Kyle and was able to just get a huge run in 1 and 2, and our car was just so good on the long runs that I was able to hold Redick off and finish P2. So thankful to JRM for this opportunity, and Chevy, Martin's Foundation for coming on board, Cowell for a cause, everybody. Feels good to be back up here.
Ryan Truex ties a career best finish, second.
Yeah, and that second came at Dover a number of years ago. Great day for Ryan Truex. Guys, final thoughts on what we saw here today?
Well, obviously we know what Kyle Busch did, but I'm really impressed with Ryan Truex, and he doesn't get many opportunities and hasn't had many opportunities, and to see him succeed with a runner-up finish is pretty neat.
Eric?
Yeah, same for me. Ryan coming at the end of the race and having such a great day was great to see. Chase Briscoe making up all those spots at the end. Austin Syndrich having a good day. A lot of Xfinity regulars had a great day. Kyle was very fast. I feel bad for Christopher and Justin, what happened to them, but it was a fun race to watch.
The two of you have had so much success at this racetrack. You roll off 8th tomorrow, 10th for you, Eric. What are your thoughts as we get set for just over 300 laps here tomorrow?
Well, it's a much different style of racing than the way that you drive the car than the way it has been in the past. So I think track position is going to be very important. So I think that the mistakes that you make are going to be magnified. So you just got to minimize the mistakes and do everything you can to keep yourself up front.
Eric? I agree, yeah. It's going to be really tough. The way the cars are driving right now, they're so fast, it's really hard to pass that you're going to have to really get your track position early and try to keep that. No mistakes on pit road, on the racetrack, or anywhere else. So it should be interesting to see how it all plays out.
Great job. Take the tie off, put on the driver's suit, and we'll see you for a fun one here tomorrow, okay?
Sounds good.
So Kevin Harvick and Eric Jones are all done up here. They'll get set for a big one here tomorrow afternoon as we continue our road trip out west. And Shannon, roll the breaking news animation. Kyle Busch has won again in the NASCAR Xfinity Series.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our fans for your support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.